There are tales, much like the ashes of the old world, scattered across the wastelands. Hidden within these stories are secrets, knowledge, and legends. I've traversed far and wide across this once great nation to share these stories with other travelers. I now offer you a choice to tune into this broadcast of the Wastelord's Legend Podcast. Thank you for joining us today in the broadcast of our first episode. I am joined today by the Neo Cypher and Navigator from Navigatorplays. Both are awesome Fallout content creators, so I strongly suggest checking them out. Without further ado, let's get into it. Today we are going to be doing a podcast. It's going to be the first of its kind, and I am joined by two others. First off is Navigator. Say something, man.
How's everybody doing today? It's Navigator.
And Cypher.
Hey, thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Alrighty, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about Fallout things. It's going to be Fallout Halloween related. Anything really spooky is kind of what we're going to be talking about. We are going to be meandering off the path and talking about all kinds of, random things, but they're all going to be related to Fallout. So you're in the right place if you love Fallout. Well, first off, what is your favorite thing that's, spooky, scary related in Fallout? I'll let whoever wants to go first.
Well, I mean, I'm going to take the reins on this because I think that everybody's already thinking about this as their first idea of the spookiest stuff in Fallout, but it has to be the Lovecraftian horror aspect, if you guys know what I'm saying by that.
Oh, like yeah, that's iconic. It's like, yeah.
Exactly. That's what I feel like is like the true horror stuff of the game. But Cypher, if you had something that you were going to say as well, you go for it.
Hey man, I'm like right there with you. I mean, the Lovecraftian aspects of Fallout are not only extremely intriguing for what they present for the lore and the implications of the world building in the games, as well as the like extended content. Like now they're coming out with board games, and there's like D&D style games as well coming out, where they take heavy inspiration from these Lovecraftian elements, and super cool, super creepy.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
I love how it's all in the background too. It's like it's never directly stated in the games, but you just like there's Quest, of course, with like Lorenzo Cabot, how he's got that thing on his head that he got in I think it was like Egypt, I believe. He got that helmet on, and it's from an ancient civilization. And if you go around 76 or even Fallout 3 or Fallout 4 at the end of the Dunwich areas, there's always like the giant statue thing. So the big I'd like to say monolithic heads.
Because it's this, what was it? It's this Lovecraftian idea that there are these titans that sleep within the earth, and somehow or some way they'll be awakened one day, and they're like unfathomably large or something. But yeah, those are those faces that we see in we see it in Dunwich Boars in Fallout 4. I know that there's the obelisk at the Dunwich like district office or whatever it's called in 3.
The Dunwich building in Fallout 3. Yeah, it's an obelisk, and it's got skulls like attached to it, and then it's like lines around it as well.
Yeah, that's so good, bro. I remember playing that for the first time when I was a kid, and that was honestly almost as scary as BioShock was, if you guys have played BioShock. But when I was a kid, that freaked me out. Going down to the depths of that building and seeing that thing was horrifying, man. Creepy. And then and then in 76, when you see the interloper, or at least like one of the interlopers, the one at the bottom of that mine, I forget what mine it is. But there's also wait, did you say the name of the mine?
Yeah, Lucky Hole Mine.
Lucky Hole Mine, yeah. Funny, it's lucky. But there's all those Titan faces surrounding it too, but they're slightly like smaller. I always thought that was cool.
Yeah, definitely. And then when you go to those places, not only is it like, you see those giant statues and stuff, but there's always like an audio thing, like a murmuring, really, disembodied voices, and they're deeper. And they're always, you can't hear what they're saying, of course, but it's always just weird, creepy stuff. And it's
Did you guys ever think that the interloper is gonna like go anywhere? They have all this stuff for in the game, but I feel like they didn't really capitalize on it too much. Maybe they want to keep it that way. I don't know. Do you guys have any ideas on that, about the interloper, where they can go with it?
I don't really have Yeah, I don't really have any ideas. I'm very unfamiliar with Fallout 76. My specialty is like in the first is like the Obsidian Fallout games, like Fallout 1, 2, and 3. And I obviously know a lot about 3 and 4 as well, but never got enough into 76 to play it a million times all the way through. And I'm actually not sure if that's a game you can beat. I know there are storylines that you can wrap up and stuff, but as far as my interloper knowledge goes, I'm not qualified to speak on this or really even theorize on it.
I'm not qualified to speak on anything. No, but I will say this: no, there will never be an end to the grueling gauntlet that is 76. There's always something to grind for, always something to unlock. But no, the interloper. I mean, and this is, I'm Neo. I'm sure that you're at least somewhat familiar with it. But for those of you who aren't, the interloper is this, like, I guess in layman terms, weird alien that is located in like 2 or 3 different places around the map in these weird caves and stuff like that. And there's like notes and stuff that show that people were worshiping it or waiting on its coming. And that was around like during Wastelanders, maybe even before that. But they kind of made it seem like it was going to be this looming threat, that the interloper was coming, it was going to do something, and then you actually see it. And I just feel like they never went anywhere with it. They went more with like the cryptid route with the Wendigos and the Blue Devils and stuff like that. But that was I want to say the most prominent Lovecraftian horror aspect that we see in 76. And although they didn't really go anywhere with it in the other games as well, I feel like they really could have done something with it in 76. But anyways, I'm rambling on. Did you want to keep talking about, I mean, like Cypher, Waste, did you guys have anything else to say about the Lovecraftian aspects of it, like Dunwich Boars or anything like that?
So I'm going to be honest, it's my favorite, and I wrote quite a bit about it.
Waste, take the lead, my man. Say what you're going to say, bro.
I went crazy nerdy on it. I'm not even gonna lie, guys. So my whole favorite thing about Fallout is the cosmic horror, right? Which is the Lovecraftian horror, which we were just talking. And I love how there's always. I know what you mean by like you were wanting to know what they're gonna do with it. But I'm almost wondering, like, I want them to always add to it, but I want it to be subtle, because it's nice to know that there's like a background lore. You got the First Lorith Brotherhood, Enclave, all that shenanigans going on, and then all of a sudden there's just this random rabbit hole of interloper and all these ancient creatures and stuff that came before, and it's really amazing to me. And I wanted to mention some things real quick. So we got the the Krebeknev, which is like I'm pretty sure I pronounced that right. I don't know. It's that book. I mean, I'm sure you guys have, what it is, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So it's that book that you get. And anyways, it's got some crazy powers, because Jamie, who was one of the dudes that was investigating the Dunwich building, looking for his dad, he said he picked up that book and it was hot against the stone. So it has some definite powers. And then I also wanted to say, I was going around these places, before we started, and I was just notating stuff, and I noticed a common theme. There was obelisks and murmuring, like I said, and then Navigator, you're going to know this one, but the deep, right? How there's that little interloper?
Yes. Yep. Okay,
so I noticed something, and I needed, I feel like you know more about 76 than either of us do. And what I wanted to ask you is, those glowing plants that are all around it, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are those located anywhere else in the game, or are they exclusive to the deep?
So, I know the plants you're talking about. I have a picture of them in my brain. The thing is, I couldn't exactly tell you if they're located anywhere else. However, it'd be very easy to find out if they were, because if you can go up to them and like take them, obviously that's a thing where it's like they're obvious. You know what I mean? Like you can take like a lot of flora and fauna and like pick them up, but I don't think that you can pick those up. And I'm not sure if this was so you can't. So if this is the direction you were going in, are you trying to say that that flora is somehow related to the interloper and those are growing from it? Is that what you're kind of getting at?
Yeah, I'm thinking so. And another thing I noticed is when you're in that same chamber with it, there's like this black ash that goes around. And I didn't really notice that until today. And I wrote it down. I was like, what is this? And I noticed there wasn't much, there wasn't like a noise around it or anything. At least I didn't remember. I just remember seeing the ash coming around and then all those plants. So I wonder if it's just like a deep biome, the biome of the deep is like unique and that's what it is. But if you look at the actual like the structure, not the flower parts of it, but like I'd say like there's the tree, there's the bark and all that, and then there's the leaves. I'm talking about the bark area of that plant, and it's similar looking to the interloper. Is what I wanted to say.
And it's wonderful that I believe the power of the internet, because as you're talking, I'm going to look this up and look at a picture of it and see if we can kind of find anything. But okay, so yeah, I'm looking at this here, and yeah, I see those. So you're talking about those like kind of pinkish plants that are growing around it.
They glow.
Yes. So in my memory, you cannot like take those up. I know that you said that. And kind of given their like shape and structure, I guess, I think that it wouldn't be too far-fetched to say that it could be coming from them. The other thing, though, is that there's like a lot of stuff going on down there. There's a lot of stuff going on down there. Like the like at the bottom of the deep, there's like that green like liquid or something. You know what I mean? Is that like radioactive water or what is that? So I don't know. But what I'm trying to say here is that I think that you are onto something in saying that, and it very well could be related to the interloper.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. I feel like it is personally, but yeah, if we think about it, it wouldn't be very far-fetched to assume that, but we'll just have to wait for them to add stuff to it.
I mean, honestly, I'm looking at this. That could be a topic on its own. The deep as a whole. It's a very unique place. Game, but
I've been dying to do some more videos on this stuff, but I always like there's like so much, there's so little to work on. So I figured it'd be just dope to get it all out in a podcast.
That's true. Oh, you know what?
The best videos, in my opinion.
He does. Yeah. He does.
I made a video on Silas the Centurion from New Vegas, and there's like so little information about him, but it ended up being like a 15-minute video or something.
Hey man, that's one of the beauties that I've found with not only the game, but I guess just kind of like the human brain. It is so interesting that you can look at something that might seemingly be so small, but given context and location or dialogue, stuff like that, even if you are only given a small amount of tools to work with, you can really like capitalize it and expand it, just kind of using like your own personal knowledge. Is that what you're saying there, that like there wasn't a lot of information on him, but you kind of filled that up with other stuff, and didn't even have fodder?
He has the one quest where you have to kind of save him from a Karen, and then there's like a lot of information that he gives you about Caesar and their operations, and whether you help them escape or whether you essentially interrogate him, get the information, and give it to the NCR, it will change the ending of the quest. So like, I didn't go over the quest though. I more so went over the lore behind the character himself, because he's one of those NPCs that is very seldomly interacted with, and when they are, they kind of just do the quest and forget he even exists. But he does have a very rich lore, so it was like exploring that and also speculating about him as a character and what he was doing. And with like harkening back to the interloper, these Lovecraftian elements, they are a breeding ground for speculation. And so even if you have just speculative data at best, you can still make a pretty good length video about these things, like talking about like, hey, these are some things I noticed.
I would agree. I'd completely agree with that.
And honestly, I love the speculation about it, because it feels like it brings so much more interest than official lore could actually. Kind of like how we don't know who dropped the bombs. And I remember, Nav, you made a video about this, like literally this week, I think, a couple days ago.
Yeah, it was a couple days ago.
Yeah, it's so much more fun to speculate and think about who did it than like if they told us. I feel like it would honestly kind of be disappointing in a bit. I'd be like, dang, now we can't have our own theories about it. But
speaking of which,
I definitely felt like it a lot.
I would love to hear what your guys' theories are for who dropped the bombs, because it seems that everyone has like a different opinion and they always have different justifications for it. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say.
Well, you start. What is your theory about a Cypher?
I haven't reached a consensus with that yet. There's a few theories that I like a lot. Like, I really like the Vault Tech theory. I don't think it necessarily has enough information to warrant that being like the Occam's razor approach. Now,
good,
I also
good Fallout reference, my man, and great what vocabulary reference as well. Occam's razor, that's great.
thank you. I also like the enclave theory, which holds even less water than the Vault Tech theory. But in all honesty, I think that it was probably orchestrated. Oh, I forgot. I'm losing my train of thought. I think it was probably either America or China. Like, I don't think there was a big. I think the mystery is there, but I don't think there's like a big surprise. It was probably the someone had either launched a nuke or they sent like a false signal or something that triggered a chain reaction and then it led to a nuclear war.
Yeah, MMD.
Yeah, but
Kind of like that guy that stopped it in real life.
I'm not super well researched on that, so I don't like have a complete consensus and like the evidence to support it. It's just like my initial gut feeling is it's probably a big mystery because we don't have an answer, but its answer would likely not be a surprise or even that shocking. It would probably just be like some intern at the Pentagon like messed up and accidentally launched a nuke and then the whole world blew up, you know? But I don't think that's the case because I do remember there being a lot of foreshadowing leading up to the Great War. Like, there's something I remember about Pam having information about when the Great War was going to happen.
That was her sole purpose, wasn't it? Was to detect when that was going to happen and prevent it, right? Something like that.
Right. But she's a predictive analytical machine, so I don't know if that prediction was based on arbitrary data that she was collecting, or if it was like a confirmation because she was being used to predict like how the Great War would unfold, and they, you know, more data you can input, like when the Great War happens, how long it's going to last, who's going to be involved, all of that would be really useful to an analytical machine. So
100%.
It's one of those. It's one of those things. I love all of the theories, and they all hold weight in their own merits.
I'd agree too. Well, there I think there was like one like the alien one or something. I think is a little out there. Like the aliens did it, but no, you're definitely right. They all kind of hold weight in their own respect.
Yeah. Well, if you take the Zayden angle, this was always like my idea with the Zaydens. Their mothership has a laser that just obliterated an entire like country when it was used. So I'm not sure why they would articulate us to destroy themselves. Especially if they're studying us and kidnapping us. If they wanted to, they could just blow up our planet, like just by shooting it a couple times, a couple different places.
And let's think about this. What if they get way more data if we were all alive and not nuked? Because I feel like they were getting so much more data and stuff. You got all the clean samples. Not everything's dead.
Yeah, no feral ghoul testing.
Maybe they wanted to collect things like ghouls and super mutants, but if that were the case, then you would probably see more of them in the Mothership Zeta DLC, if you consider it canon. I do, but a lot of people don't. You know, when I play the games, I play with Wild Wasteland on, so I almost always run into Zaydens.
Exactly. Oh man, yeah, I love that. Wild Wasteland, good memories.
So about the Vault Tech one is you know in the Bomb and Megaton how it's got the Vault Tech logo?
Yep.
I wonder. A popular theory is that Vault Tech launched the nukes, and I don't think they launched the nukes. I think they just sent one nuke, and obviously it was a dud, but it was still able to explode, as you can see, because you can destroy Megaton. So I don't know why they would put an actual live bomb there if they were just going to try to spook people into buying more vault spaces. But that was just that was the only reason I would ever give the Vault Tech one credit, is that they accidentally started it. But other than that, for my personal theory of who started the Great War, honestly, I have no clue. I wouldn't be surprised. No, I wouldn't think it would be the Enclave, because the entire point of Project Purity is to get rid of all the Wasteland mutants and all that. And so there's no point they would start nukes to make mutants, unless they wanted to, you know, make the world smaller of population, and then wipe it all out, and then repopulate as the Enclave so that they could be in control. It seems like a pretty dumb way of doing it, to be honest with you. But I mean, there's always that.
Did you ever watch the Resident Evil films?
No.
So I'm
I haven't
getting
seen the
into.
films, but I'm somewhat versed in it. But continue. I apologize.
So this is a little bit spoiler territory for if you want to watch the films, which I don't recommend because I think they are very not very good. um, but like that's like one of the main plot points in the later films. By the time you get to like Resident Evil 6 or 7, it's revealed that there like is an actual enclave of people who were in the government who survived the zombie apocalypse, that they orchestrated the zombie apocalypse to clear the world for their perfect paradise. And even in the like us as viewers and the people in the movie, so it's like in the script, are just like, why would you turn everybody into zombies and destroy the whole planet if you wanted to live in a paradise? Like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I feel like they would turn it
that's
the opposite of a parrot.
Right. And then then in the next movie, I believe they introduced this whole like, oh, well, everyone's living in cryostasis, so we're gonna wait for nature to retake over the world. And I'm like, you have like 100 people who are gonna repopulate the planet that are all like rich, and you're gonna throw them into a world where money now suddenly means nothing. There's no infrastructure, and you're what, like, gonna live like cavemen until you die or repopulate the world and rebuild all of the society you just destroyed in like a few thousand years. Like this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, well, life finds a way, like Jeff Goldblum says. Just
Life does find a way. I'm not arguing that.
No, that's a good point though. But the thing I was going to say though is that I feel like if it was the Enclave that did it, and this is more from like a real life, I guess, kind of historical standpoint, I feel like for the government, you need people to buy your stuff and to work for you and do your jobs and stuff like that. So I feel like they wouldn't want to reduce the population, or maybe, or at least not just get rid of the citizens of the U.S. because I feel like they need them for stuff like that. But the thing I was going to say though, and I guess my opinion on it, I wholeheartedly believe that Vault-Tec started the war 100%. I know, and you are correct in saying that idea doesn't have a lot of weight, but given the testing and everything that we've seen that they do, that they would have done anyways because they're underground and in vaults, I feel like they were just like, okay, we're going to be underground. There's no moral or ethical rules that we have to follow anymore because there's nobody there to enforce it. So we're gonna, and I mean, Waste, you said that you think they might have sent the bomb. I feel like they maybe had, or maybe possibly like convinced somebody to do it, or fed information that would have angered the Chinese or angered the Americans into launching the first nuke or something like that, and then they could just hide away in their vaults down below. But that's pretty much all I got on that. But I think Vault-Tech's they're a bunch of evil guys. I don't like them, and I wouldn't put it past them to have started the Great War. That's how I feel about it.
Another thing I want to say.
Go ahead. Go.
Okay. The nuke they have. Why would they put their own logo on it? That just sounds really dumb to me. Like, if that's just going to be right next to
be destroyed.
Yeah. So, and I'm assuming where Megaton is, if you think about it, it's right next to. It's next to the Capitol. But in Fallout, you know how the nukes, they're not that crazy.
Yeah. Not a hydrogen bomb.
Yeah, would you guys imagine that they dropped it, because they dropped it was near Vault 101. I wonder if they were going to test the structure. I have no idea. I'm trying to rationalize why it would be there. Maybe a bomber, a US bomber accidentally dropped it. I don't really see what makes sense of why it would be there and why Vault-Tec would have made that bomb.
Well, something that might have happened, which there might be evidence for this if you look into it. I haven't, but arms dealers typically will like play both sides of the market. So if you think about in terms of Vault-Tec, they get the government contracts to build the shelters, right, to survive a nuclear apocalypse, and then they have all the materials there already. Because they're making like nuclear reactors that power these places. They're making these steel structures, so they can then use their manufacturing to also produce nuclear weapons to sell to either the American government or foreign governments, to essentially play both sides of this market. That
makes sense.
You kind of put that into better words than I could have, but yeah, that's exactly how I feel about it. Is they were playing both sides of the market just to get away with what they were going to do.
Right. So
Yeah.
they might not have been the one who launched the nuke. It could have been like a nuke from China, or with the way. Actually, no. I think the nuke that's in Megaton itself has to be dropped specifically from a bomber, because we know that China had submarines, and submarines, I believe, use a more silo-shaped missile. I don't think they can shoot like the little boys from them, but it is the Fallout universe, so you could do pretty much anything. They have satellite lasers. You know?
One thing I want to say is ICBMs exist in Fallout, obviously.
Right. Because
It's
they're in the divide.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the divide. But what I don't understand is why would it be a bomb? Because ICBMs, right? They fly and then don't they just go directly into it, or do they drop a bomb in like the atmosphere? Because I'm assuming that's probably how they're going to work. I don't know. Because if you think about it, what I'm trying to say is in Fallout 76, when you launch a nuke, it's an ICBM. You can see that spearhead missile, and it goes. But if you actually watch it when it's dropping, wherever you nuke, it's an actual bomb, like a megaton, nuke-shaped bomb. So I don't know why it's a bomb.
I never really thought about that actually. Well, maybe it's a thing where I don't even know how to phrase this. Maybe I don't even know. Oh, well, you know what it could be for one is the art style, the changing of the art style in Fallout 4. But then again, no, because then there's that random encounter in 76 where you find that megaton style nuclear bomb that you can like defuse. That's confusing.
It doesn't make much sense because the ones before the nuke goes off, on the Scorch Beast or something, it's a bomb-shaped nuke. It's not a missile, which is I don't know.
It could have been that their missile technology capped out, and as soon as like the atom was split, where the theoretical Fallout timeline splits from our own timeline, it could have been that the people of the world were just like, this is it. This is like the peak of military power, and then maybe they created nuclear bombs to be a little bit more powerful than the original ones that were invented. Or maybe not. If you ever look at the yield tests for the Fallout nuclear weapons, they are not that strong. Like we have like just our regular missiles are stronger than most of the bombs in the Fallout games. So it could have been that their technology peaked, and kind of like they didn't create smaller transistors, and they kind of stayed in that like 50s style technology.
Yeah, actually,
just a guess.
That's making sense. But I can see how that would work, and I would honestly explain it. But I don't know, given this game and the retcons and all that, I have no clue.
No, it's true.
Yeah, it's hard.
Or maybe it's a thing where the bombs that we see like in Megaton or like in the random encounter, those kinds of like little boy styled bombs, maybe those are coming from China, for instance, and then the missiles that we see that are launched when you launch a nuke in 76, those are like the US missiles, but then you got to think about the Vault-Tec logo, but then you also think about maybe Vault-Tec sold China. I don't know. It's all over the place.
Headache.
Well,
exactly.
Here's another interesting thing. If you consider Wild Wasteland canon, then you have to consider the bomb, the One, which you find like out in the eastern Nevada desert, which is essentially just a rip from the bomb in Megaton. And I think it might be the same size, or if not scaled down. That's not super important to my point here. That bomb, so it could be argued like, hey, maybe that came from Nellis Air Force Base. There is a downed bomber in the lake. There's also a nuclear bomb there. Or you could say like, hey, nuclear missiles were launched at Las Vegas. I think it was like 70 something missiles maybe it was like 90 missiles were launched, 70 were taken down. I can't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but some of them hit, some of them exploded. And I think the implication with the One is that bomb was one of the missiles that was launched, but turned out to be a dud. So it didn't get taken out by Mr. House's security system. Instead, it just like landed in the desert. It would have exploded, but didn't. So then you could argue, well, hey, maybe these bombs were the ones that were being launched at America. and the implication for that is pretty strong, I feel, in that game. Then again,
Yeah, I can argue that.
there's always the do we consider Wild Wasteland canon thing, and I think with the wackiness of the Fallout franchise, it might as well be, right?
Yeah, it might as well be. There's
Yeah,
a lot.
as much as I've played New Vegas, I always have it on. So yeah, for me, it's a yes.
Love
Right.
Wild Wasteland. Was there anything else that you guys wanted to say about the bombs or anything, or did you want to maybe hop onto a new topic at all?
I'm still wrapping my head around. I'm sorry. I want to move on, but I just can't wrap my mind around why you would make a missile and then have it drop down as a bomb. I'm assuming what I have to figure this out. I'm sorry, guys. We do a missile, right? And then the top opens up and a bomb falls out of it. And then since it's got the fins on it, it'll stabilize. And then because they don't have enough rocket fuel, so maybe it shoots the missile up. The missile opens up, releases the bomb, and then the bomb goes to where.
That's a good point. That's a
my
very
idea.
good. Yeah, and honestly, that would be a very straightforward explanation for it.
And it could be debunked, but let's not debunk it now because we'll be on this topic forever.
Isn't that what the podcast is for, right?
Yeah, we'll do a nuke ideology or nuke. We'll be children of Adam. We'll do a nuke video.
We'll all research beforehand and come in with our best argument.
We'll go work at Nevada for a couple years.
There we go.
Get some real life experience. I'm good with that. We'll pop in Area 51, see what's up.
Sounds good.
Speaking of Atom, I actually had a question for you guys that I wanted to ask. In the sake of the spookiness for Halloween, we were talking about. I forgot the name of it already. The Eldritch being in 76.
Oh, what, Interloper?
Interloper. I don't know why I wanted to say the Inquisitor, but the Interloper. And the Eldritch entities that clearly exist in the Fallout universe. We have sufficient evidence to claim that Atom, in some manner of speaking, exists. Now, whether it's more esoteric and it's like a force of nature, or if it's like, we'll say, an Eldritch entity that has its own ego. My question is, what do you guys think Atom is? I think he might, personally, I think he might be one of these Eldritch entities.
I would.
never thought about that. Wait, so what did you say?
I would say yeah, because if you think about it, there's the Mother of the Fog, and I know you're tripping balls because you just drank mushrooms. You know what I'm talking about, Far Harbor, real quick, so you guys.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So you drink that water, right? And at first you're like, man, I'm crazy right now. I'm hallucinating like crazy. But the thing is the hallucination takes you to an actual place and then gives you actual answers and lets you, because I forgot what you have to do. You have to grab that mother icon and that bunker thing, and there's the periodic table of elements. And then what she does is she stops creatures from attacking you. But I mean, they could be fake, so they could be a hallucination. But yeah, I definitely, especially with the ghouls. What were you saying, Bo?
No, you continue. You were saying something.
Sorry, it's if we were here face to face, I'm sure it'd be a lot more. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like I'm cutting you guys off, and I feel so bad. And
don't worry about it. That's how it is.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah, what the thing is it'd be so. What was I saying? I was talking about the Mother of the Fog, the periodic table of elements.
Ghouls, maybe? I think I heard that.
Oh, ghouls! Yes, thank you, bro. Yeah, the ghouls. So, have you noticed that it seems to be that the ghoul technology, there was able to make ghouls before the war, specifically Eddie Winter. But I wonder if the ghouls are interconnected, through Adam, maybe, or because what is his name? It's Ugg. I have it written down. Ugg Qualtoth, whatever that is.
Ugg Qualtoth.
Yes. The ghouls were worshipping that, and within Dunwich areas. So I'm wondering if he has something to do with it, or he's maybe another name for Adam, or something like that. I don't know.
Maybe the real name for Adam.
Yeah, maybe. That's something to think about.
Given what we're talking about and all the Lovecraftian stuff and the Dunwich whatever, I think that it would not be so far fetched to say that Adam is like an actual, not like being but just some kind of entity. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it'd be so far fetched to say that there's another like kind of supernatural esque entity in the games, that being Adam. And what was the name in Cypher? You pronounced it correctly. What was the name that he was trying to say? Ug something.
Ugquiltoth.
Ugquiltoth. Hope I said that right. No cultural appropriation. No, I'm just kidding. But no, that's yeah. No, I think that's, and I've never thought about it before either, because I had always thought that was just kind of like people being crazy, seeing all the radioactive stuff around them, be like, oh, let's worship it or something like that. But yeah, I never thought about it as like an actual entity within the games. That's cool though. I like that.
Well, one
I like
thing that's really interesting about the Eldritch artifacts that you find, like the obelisk and the sculpture, is now correct me if I'm wrong, but they are irradiated, or at least the area around them is always irradiated. Now, well, that's because the bombs dropped and there's radiation everywhere. But if you're going deep underground into a cave where radiation would dissipate anyways, and like the first half is not irradiated, then all of a sudden you enter into irradiated areas, then it would make sense that there's some sort of connection there. And whenever
it follows logically.
Yeah, they're always being worshipped by or surrounded by ghouls. So there's a connection there.
And the thing is,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, you finish it. I'm sorry. You were about to say something.
I was just gonna wrap up, and say like what that connection is. Like, I'm not exactly sure, but there's something there.
Definitely. Especially if you look at the children of Adam, we know from lore and all that they're actually immune to radiation. Sure, their hair falls out, but if we go anywhere that they are going, for as much time as they are, we'll die.
Yeah. So, and you can also get like blessings of Adam, I'm pretty sure, that are like radiation resistant effects.
Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of something unrelated, but the Hubologists. But I wanted to say too, I noticed the interlopers themselves, or at least the ones we see in 76, they are not surrounded by radiation, and there's no ghouls around them unless you count the Chinese ghouls that are down there. But I don't think I don't feel like they're connected at all.
Yeah, those probably. I'm assuming those are probably two different things, because I feel like with Adam it would have to be a more kind of like ethereal thing, where it's like a cosmic thing. But I feel like the interloper is like an actual tangible being. I feel like now you got me thinking about all this. My brain's melting.
I know it's a lot.
It could be that Atom is, like you were saying earlier, it is like Ugquiltoth in a manner of speaking, or at least like a manifestation of its will. So, like this Eldritch entity, whatever it is, wants to gain followers, infect humans, do various things, which actually leads me to one of my questions I had for you, which is, what do you think the goal of these Eldritch entities are? We know that they're based off of Lovecraftian stories, so I'm sure if we read the stories, it would be a lot more clear than it is right now. I mean, at least I haven't read any of Lovecraft's works personally, but I know a little bit of it because I follow horror, so I've been exposed to it. But my idea is like, what do you think their end goal is? Because from the evidence, we see that they corrupt people and get them to do sacrifices of some kind. And if there is some sort of connection between the Eldritch entities that inhabit the Dunwich areas and, say, Adam, which in this case would be like its will in my like hypothetical scenario here, that sparks a really interesting correlation. And that might actually, now that I think about it, that could have been one of the factors that led to the Great War. What better to get an entire planet full of followers than to blanket it in radiation?
Especially if the radiation is the thing that can make them worship you more, because the ghouls seem to worship them, and it's yeah,
it might be one of those things that like the more worshippers they have, the more powerful they become.
A good point. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's so I don't necessarily think though that Ugquiltoth and Adam are extrinsically connected, because Adam seems a little more altruistic. Like I guess we'll say that he's not like it's an entity right now. But the followers of Adam, they can bask in radiation. They don't get sick. They're not doing any like weird sacrifices or anything. And then you have that whole Mother of the Fog, which complicates the lore around it even further. So,
no, I think that's. I'm sorry if I'm not talking as much. I am thinking so much about this stuff right now.
It's all very, very heavy stuff to absorb. So.
That's
no
fair.
judgment here. I'm having a hard time even like getting my thoughts out.
That's fair. But no, the only thing that I could really like add on to it is I feel like, and you said this about having more people to serve them makes them powerful. And I feel like with like Cthulhu, just based on what I know, like I feel like their only goal, and this goes back to the question you were asking, is just to like make chaos, I feel like, and create chaos and pain and suffering. But maybe that's why they're locked beneath the earth or something, is because they're just so terrible. But I don't know.
Maybe they prefer it there.
That's why they have those metal statues that were there to defeat them, and now they're watching them as they to make sure they don't do anything.
That's a very good point. Some kind of like Earth Sentinels or protectors or something like that. Like guardians.
All right, I got a crazy theory I want to drop on you guys.
Go for it.
Do you think that there's a connection between the eldritch entities that inhabit the interior of the Earth and the Zatans? Think about it. The Zatans, they've been watching over humanity at the very least since the Edo period, which was like 1600.
Yeah, because
and they haven't done much. Like, it's, at least from what we can tell, they're not like infiltrating our governments. They're not like coercing our politics. I know they kidnapped some notable individuals, but we don't really know what they wanted from them, from what I gather. Again, a lot of this is going off the Mothership Zeta DLC. If you even take that out of the ring, we have confirmation that they're at the very least doing something on Earth, because they're in 76. They're also in New Vegas. So what is their purpose? Why are they just hanging out? What are they doing? If they have the firepower to destroy this entire planet, maybe, and this is just a theory with no real evidence, just drawing speculation. It's copyright. Maybe they are somehow related to the eldritch entities. Like, they could be like some silent protector of Earth, or maybe they're waiting for the eldritch entities to destroy the world so that way they can cull them and take over, or there's like any manner of speculation you can draw from that line of thinking.
It could be like that, where these things are like the Titans or the eldritch beings are some kind of cosmic things that have been seen before by the Zatans, and then maybe they like ran to Earth and went to that slumber or whatever, and then the aliens are kind of like watching over. And then I guess the way that you could explain the testing would be like, maybe they're like, oh, well, with these beings being on Earth, have they in any way influenced the human population or something? Let's beam these guys up and test them or something like that. But Waste, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was about to feed you some information, because I feel like you know a lot more about 76 than I do, like a tremendous more. So what I want to give you is some information real quick. Mm-hmm. You know the I can't remember. I think it was the Inquisitor. I think that's his name. It's the dude that, with the Men in Black, he like flashes you and you don't know, he disappears. Not flashes you in a bad way, but like flashes you in a mind-bending way.
Yeah.
You know that guy, right? That I'm talking about?
Yep.
Okay, so there's that guy. And then there's also the Emissary?
Yep, that's his name, the Emissary.
Okay, cool. Exactly what I'm saying. So, the Emissary, right? I wonder what he has to do with any of this. And then also, where's that place? It's like the Georgia Guidestones, but
I forget what it's called. I know it's in like the top of the, it's in the top of the map, or it's somewhere in the Savage Divide. I know that, but I don't know.
Yeah, and it's got the isn't it got like ancient hieroglyphic things on it, like alien stuff?
Man, I tried deciphering that thing for so long one day, and I couldn't pull anything from it.
See, I wonder if that's connected to, hold up, Ugg Qual Toth. Ugg Qual Toth. I probably said it wrong. But that guy, I wonder if it's connected to that. And then you got to remember, there's that ancient, not ancient, the archaeologist guy, and he was in the cave with the Death Claw. I can't remember, Hopewell Cave, I believe. And he's talking about an ancient civilization far older than we have recorded. And I wonder if that stone is related to Zayt.
Yeah. I remember like bits and pieces of that. Isn't there a plaque in Hopewell Cave too that talks about them or something like that? Or is that just like the Native American? I forget. When I was doing my Native
American. Oh, I can't remember.
The only thing that I know that I can kind of piggyback off this is that Homer and Cypher, do you know who Homer is in 76 by any chance?
No, my knowledge of 76 is getting bolstered as we speak.
Well, for Cypher, for anybody that's listening who doesn't know, Homer is this kind of friendly character that we meet before the Invaders from Beyond update, which was like the alien update, because they had this kind of like little story angle with it. So the emissary, I had always thought, the Man in Black and Homer were Zaytans that were using some kind of like disguise or something, but I know for a fact, it's pretty much been like explained that Homer is a Zaytan, and he kind of has like when you talk to him, you only talk to him through like this like voice call, and he has a picture of this what do you call it? Just like a random dude, and his name is Homer Saperstein, which if you break it down is Homo sapien, like human. But so I'm not really going anywhere with this aside from the fact where for some reason the Zaytans are protecting us. And then if you think about the emissary coming to Earth and him being like kind of ominous or whatever, I don't really know where I'm going with this. It's so hard to explain, but like it goes back to the idea of maybe the Zaytans in some way are gathering information or trying to protect us or trying to harm us in some way, given or not given, but from the beings that are on Earth, like the statues underground in Dunwich, or maybe just the whole Adam thing, or the Dunwich being in the Interloper. But that was honestly just word vomit. But I'm trying to think of the connection between the Zaytans and all of the Eldritch stuff. I don't really know where I'm going with it, though. My bad.
Well, there's also this to think about. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'll get it fast. The Zaytons in Fallout 76, their purpose is to mind control you because they got the mind. That's the whole point of that event. What's it called? Invaders from Beyond. They got the mind controlling stuff, and then the whole purpose of what seems to be the other ones is to get them to worship them. So there is a worshipping. Either way, they're trying to control. And why humans specifically when you could just kill them because you got all that power? I don't know. It's
I don't know either.
So I wonder if that's a connection.
The world may never know.
I don't necessarily think the Zaytans are there to harm us whatsoever. You got to think, like, if they wanted to hurt humanity, they're doing a very bad job at it. In all
Given
respects.
Their rules too.
It literally, humanity literally just blew itself up, and they're like,
That's a good Zaytan. Oh my gosh. I see what you're saying there with that. And it's man, I have spent so much time and done research into the Zaytans, like trying to come up with some reason and lore behind what they're doing and everything, and it's just so difficult, man. It's so difficult. And then you bring like sorry, you go ahead because I'm just gonna ramble. You go, all right.
I have an idea, and maybe this will be foreshadowing for the listeners for this first podcast episode, but I think we should all get together and do a video, like a collaborative video about this specifically. What are the Zaytans' goals, and are they connected to the Eldritch entities? And then we can kind of like split this up into 3 different fields of research, come together, come to a consensus, and like make a whole video about it.
I'm good with that. I know that it needs an explanation.
You got to do us some more Zayton impressions.
Yeah, for sure. I'll play all the Zaytans.
Yes.
Oh my god, so funny. Dude, those guys, so funny. But sorry, Wes, go ahead.
I was thinking, you guys want to save we'll save all this alien stuff because I know us. We could go crazy on it for hours. You guys want to save that for that video?
Yeah.
Go with that. There's more topics we can talk about.
All right. What do you guys want to talk about?
Well, Cypher, you have any points?
Yeah. Points about this before we move on?
No. I mean, just anything else to talk about. I mean, or questions, I should have said.
Oh, I got plenty. I got a whole list.
Oh, same here, brother.
Most of them are like not Halloween related. Like I have let's see, number 11. Who is your Fallout waifu?
Oh my
Viper.
I'm going Kate. Wait,
It's a great choice.
Kate, yeah, Kate's the Irish one in Fallout 4, right? My memory serves me correct. All right, good. Yeah, I love Kate. She was the best. Love
Viper.
I was thinking of the other Kate. Hold on. No, Cassidy. That's what I'm thinking of.
Cassidy, yeah, that's everyone's.
Yeah. What is it? Rose of Sharon Cassidy, right? Is that her full name? Yeah, Rose of Sharon Cassidy. Oh, I miss New Vegas, man. Makes me bring back there. All right, well, how about this? On a kind of spooky themed, what do you guys think about liminal spaces in Fallout? And do you know what I mean when I say that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So for anybody who doesn't know, and I have the definition here, liminal spaces it's kind of an internet aesthetic. Liminal spaces are empty or abandoned places that appear eerie, forlorn, or surreal. Liminal spaces are commonly places of transition pertaining to the concept of liminality. I don't know, that was kind of a big brain explanation for it, but just the idea of going into a building and I mean it's just like a normal room, but the fact that it's devoid of life and maybe the music or the noise and the fact that it's just you, that alone is just terrifying. And that's something that we can find through pretty much all of the Fallout games. Would you guys agree in saying that? Like you walk into those places and you're like, just alone, this place is creepy. Even if it's like a bowling alley or something.
Oh,
I
for
got
sure.
3 specifically. And it's
What do you got?
first off, Vault 88, right? That's the one you can build. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That one, I'll build it, I'll go crazy. I'll be listening to scary stories. I'll be building my entire vault. And then I'll start sectioning vaults off, especially because I get into SCP phases every once in a while, and I'll download some mods.
Don't we all?
Oh my God, bro's turning into Vault Tech.
And I'll check his faces off because I'm like legit, like this is legitimately creepy. There's no NPCs spawning at all. None of my dwellers are going down here. And this place is creepy. It's completely filled of where like it looks like there should be people there. Everything's perfectly set. There's no people there. And then the music it's the cave sound. So it's just empty cave and rock shuffling. And I'm like, damn, I hate this place. And then the other place it's gonna be really really niche, really specific. Have you guys ever had the Fallout 4 Creation Club pack, the VR workshop?
I personally have it.
Okay, so
but
inside there, it's just an empty landscape. Like it's literally the bottom is just text, like I don't know, like just computer graphics. I guess it's just grid lines, really, and it's all black and then blue with grid lines, and it just goes on forever. Like obviously there's a border to it, but it looks like it goes on forever. And then there's also like an island, and it's completely devoid of all life, and it's just so creepy.
Oh God. Yeah, I'm picturing that. I mean, I haven't seen it before, but I'm picturing that in my head, and that would be absolutely creepy.
And it's a workshop. You can build in there, and it's like, oh God, I'm scaring myself.
Just standing here. Well, you said what other spaces do you, or what other places did you have on that list, kind of?
I said 3, huh? But I think it was really just those 2, because I'm trying to think of any other places, and I really can't. Maybe
like the other one, Slocum Joe's Donuts.
Slocum Joe's, yeah, $20 for a cup of coffee. Oh my God, waste! Did you ever see that, bro? They were charging $20 for a cup of coffee there before they closed down.
Do you remember how much it was in like pre-war money just to go to the bowling alley for like a single round of bowling?
How much was it? Do you know the number?
Oh my God, it was a lot.
Let
me look it up. Let's see. It's Fallout. Fallout 4 bowling alley.
Gas prices got to $900. I seen it in a sign in Fallout Tactics.
5,000 pre-war money.
Oh damn. My! I mean, maybe like inflation or something. That would only been like $5, but that's so crazy.
Dude, yeah.
That's
Well, like
so
you got to think too that these like the pre-war money. Now we don't exactly know what bills they are. They could be like $1 bills, right? But they're in bands. They're like stacks. It makes one single pre-war money.
That
that's
is
a good point. Yeah, that is a very good point.
Yeah, and you need 5,000 of those. So even if you like, we'll do some quick math. I'm very bad at math, but let's say you have like I don't know, 100 $1 bills times like 5,000 stacks. That's $500,000.
That's one day at the bowling alley is $5,000.
Yeah,
I think
that's one game at the bowling alley. Once you're done with that game, you have to pay again.
Jeez.
That's in General Atomics, right? In Boston.
Yes.
Yeah, General Atomics.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I remember that, but that's so funny. Jeez. I guess that's another video topic on its own, the pre-war money of the Fallout universe.
Inflation.
Well, okay, so yeah, I think that the number one liminal space, I guess you could say, is just vaults, bro. I feel like vaults on their own are so creepy, especially the ones that are just totally empty. Oh, they get me. Not only with the whole with the anger aspect too, when you're wandering around, you know which direction is which, walking in circles. I'm not going to get into that.
Is, what is the creepiest vault that you've been in?
Creepiest vault? Oh, 100%. I forget what the. Actually, you know what? I'm going to find out.
Is it the one at the plant?
No. Well, wait. Do you have an answer? Because I just found it.
Yeah. You're gonna have to help me out, Cypher, because you're the New Vegas nerd. It's the one that's got all the plants. I think it's like Vault. It's not Vault 21, but it's
22, isn't it?
Yeah, Vault 22.
Yeah.
22. Awesome.
There's also Vault 34. The one with the ghouls is also pretty creepy.
Yeah, that was my other answer. The one at the water. It's like flooded.
Yeah.
Mine has to be Vault 108. Gary.
Oh, Gary.
Man. Gary. And then you can like find them across the wasteland too. Oh man, imagine just like you're just some random settler out in the Mojave, and all of a sudden you hear a knock on your door, and there's a vault dweller with a smile on his face, wielding a knife, and all he says is as he's ripping you apart is just Gary. Oh, that would freak me out.
You're basically talking about the entirety of the Fiends population.
That's true. That is true too. Oh my gosh. Oh well, don't even. If you want to talk about things like actions that actually horrify me, Cook. That guy.
Yeah.
Oh my god, man! Thinking about him, and of course, given the podcast, I don't really think it's necessary to go into all of his exploits. But man,
let's not.
That freaks me out. And I won't. But I will say this though. So Cypher, I'm not sure if you know this about me. I got a history degree in college. Like I'm a historian, whatever. But throughout history, you know, especially in ancient times and conquest and stuff, you know, you think about like I can't even imagine waking up one day and my sole goal is to make sure that I have enough food on my plate and to make sure that my family isn't murdered by neighboring tribes. But I feel like that's what happened when the bombs dropped. Obviously, civilization declined. There was all this bad, depraved stuff going on, and that is like a real life kind of like like a logistical horror. Is the idea of just like, oh, like we're going back to those times where like I got to fight for my life and protect my family day to day, day in and day out. That scares me. But that's all I'm gonna say about that. Because that just freaks me out, bro. I can't imagine that. Especially with a guy like Cook running around. Jeez.
Right. And there would be a lot more cooks as well if society were to decline. You know, you got to think from like a political standpoint. Like we all have our ethics and our morals that kind of define what our how we view ourselves and our own cognitive processes. As soon as there are no repercussions for what you can do, whether you're a good person or a bad person, we all we'll call it devolve into a similar behavior. So there have been like psychological studies done throughout the last 60 years on this where they'll do something simple. They'll have like you answer questions and you get $1 for every question you answer, but no one like checks to see how many questions you answer. You just tell the person when you're done, like, oh yeah, I answered this many questions. And every single person in those studies will exaggerate the amount of questions that they've answered to get more money. Now, in the curve is like where people who are very honest in character will exaggerate a little bit. They'll exaggerate by like 3 questions, get $3 extra. Whereas people who are less, they value honesty less, they do it about equal, but a little bit more in some cases. So they'll say like, oh, I answered 5 or 6 questions, right? Get a few extra dollars. And, you know, it might be like the questionnaire was like 30 questions. So it's not like a huge amount more, right? That just goes to show that, like, as much as we want to keep society nice and calm, the minute that consequences are taken away, it will immediately devolve. And people like Cook will pop up over and over and over again everywhere you go. There are people like that already with consequences.
Yeah, that's true. Horrifying reality.
Right.
And that makes you want to, you know, put yourself to a faction so that you can actually get rid of those menaces or maybe create more. So I would like to segue. What's your favorite faction? Like, what faction? I mean, we know yours, Cypher, but I want you to describe why you like that faction. Like, why do you guys love this faction, and why do you think it's the best choice? I'll let you go first, Cypher.
My favorite faction, believe it or not, are the Desert Rangers. Those are my absolute favorite. Yeah. So I know, like, I'm the Caesar's Legion guy, and I am a big fan of Caesar's Legion. But from a logistical standpoint, if this were real life, I don't necessarily think that their, we'll say, business model is going to work very well, and it's not very ethical, in my opinion. So there's some room for improvement there. But I think the one faction that had it nailed from the beginning were the Desert Rangers.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, well, for the listeners, would you care to elaborate a little bit on that as to why?
On
the Desert Rangers.
On why it's the Desert Rangers. So I did a video about them, and I, like, really was getting into the research around the Rangers. And when I went into it, I was more of the opinion that they were like the NCR Rangers that we find in New Vegas and Fallout 2, where their whole goal really is to either, like in the case of Fallout 2, be a opposition to slavers, or in the case of New Vegas, be like a special operations force. What the Desert Rangers turned out to be was a vigilante force made up of common citizens from the surrounding area, and their whole goal wasn't necessarily military conquest as much as, or like fighting a specific faction over ideology, as much as it was just helping people who didn't know how to survive in this wasteland that they found themselves survive. And I find that to be a very altruistic motive that I personally align with. One of the things that I like about the concept of the Legion is that everybody will end up helping each other one way or not, whether that's sacrificing themselves for the greater good, And so, like I said before, I don't think it's necessarily efficacious, but the Desert Rangers got it right. They're building a community. They're making everyone stronger. They're helping each other out. So that allows me to feel very, like, emotionally connected to them and their mission and their goals. Plus, their armor's badass. So
that's true. Well, Waste, you know this. So, and Cypher, you are 100% on the nose with that about their goal, and that is why I love the Desert Rangers. But, and this isn't my answer because I do have another answer. But, Waste, do you know, and I'm sure you do, who my favorite character in all of the Fallout games is? Do you know who that is?
You want me to say it, or do you want to say it?
You say it if you know who it is.
Randall Clark.
It is Randall Clark, exactly. And I think that he is the physical embodiment of that kind of idealism of the Desert Rangers. Because he's right. Like, I mean, and the other thing too is like I'm not sure what the percentage, whatever, but of the Desert Rangers, and Cypher, if I am wrong on this, let me know. But they were like former police or former military, and some of them were. But at least with Randall Clark, former military. He found the Desert Ranger armor in Salt Lake City, but his whole goal was to make sure that the people that were around him survived, and they had like like at least decent lives that they were living. And man, and I love that ideology, the father of the caves and helping out the survivors from Mexico and all that. And man, I just love that. But you got me fanboying out about that. I'm thinking about Randall Clark. I'm about to freaking cry about him, man. But no, my favorite faction, and this is going to be very surprising in all of the Fallout universe, is the Great Khans. I love the Great Khans, man. I think that they are the best. I think that given their history as well, they kind of got the short end of the stick. They got shafted a lot, and that kind of made them into this hardened raider group. But when you talk to them and you reason with them, at least from my memory, you can kind of change that a little bit for the better. And on top of that, this is something that I've always believed. I always believed that the Native Americans had it right. They lived off the land. They tried not to waste as much as they could. And I feel like that kind of mentality and knowledge is something that you really need within the Fallout universe, especially, like just adapting to the wasteland and the frontier, almost, you can call it. And I really feel like the Great Khans do that a lot, but they were kind of going down the wrong path when we find them in New Vegas. But that's how I feel about that. I love the Great Khans. They're awesome.
May I interject real quick?
Go. I was finished what I'm saying, but go ahead. If you need to, go ahead.
All right. I have a million points that I want to talk with you about specifically on this topic. I need to pop out and go to the bathroom real quick.
Go for it.
And come back. So I would love it if you guys, kept talking, kept things going, and I could just pop back in and start sharing some of my thoughts, because I too am a huge fan of the Great Khans, and I actually have a Great Khan speculation video for you, Navigator, that I think.
Oh, I gotta check it out, man. I gotta check that out. Oh, you got my heart.
All
right, well, yeah. You go do that, and then
I'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Roger that. All right, well, here, I got one point that I wrote down that could probably be we could talk about pretty briefly here. But in 76, just a scary area of the map. Would you agree that the mire, like when you first stepped foot into the mire when doing those missions, that place was not creepy as hell waste?
Yeah, definitely. Especially, have you seen my video on the Big Maw?
Yes, I have. Yep.
Yeah, that alone is right there. That's the whole definition of the mire is eerie AF.
Gosh. I just remember in 2019 when I first got the game, me and my friend Jelly, we would do the missions, whatever, like during the day, like the missions that we could, whatever. But we would always wait until nighttime to do our mire missions, because then, it'd be like really, really creepy. All the lights are off in my house and I'm playing the game and I'm walking through there. And man, I remember going, it wasn't Haven Church. Haven Church is another one, but the broken down church where you come across your first Wendigo, dude, yeah, bro. And I was a little kid, I was 18. And that still freaked me out, bro, going down there and seeing that Wendigo. And it's creepy, too, because you walk into that room and the Wendigo's not there. And then as soon as you pick up the note, he'll spawn behind you. Oh, my God. And even to that, and this is another thing I had written down, was the whole Wendigo aspect. Just the idea that, people were eating human flesh and then turned into those things. That thing is so creepy. Easily, in my opinion, the creepiest of all the cryptids in 76, but that's all I have on that point.
And the Wendigos themselves, they were, I believe they were pre-war, weren't they? They weren't a product of the bombs.
Yeah, well, yes. Honestly, I don't remember the exact lore about it. I know that the Gormons were around pre-war and stuff like that, but the Wendigo itself is like a real life thing. It's a Native American folklore, linked to cannibalism, and this idea where you eat human flesh and you'll turn into this weird abomination with lanky arms and an insatiable hunger no matter how much you eat. And oh my God, that freaks me out so much. So much.
One of the reasons I loved 76 so much, the cryptids and stuff, is because I am a huge I'm a huge nerd when it comes to skinwalkers, Wendigos, that kind of stuff. It's my favorite because they're so damn scary, right? And it's just why I love 76. Added that kind of stuff. I'd love to see a Fallout. Imagine in Fallout New Vegas if there was a quest and you had to hunt a skinwalker and it would stalk the desert. Dude.
Man. All right, but
Cypher's you need to make a mod for that.
Oh yeah, it'd be so badass.
The Skinwalker mod. Honestly, man, there have been some times where I was driving through the desert and I found a yellow lab without a collar on in the middle of the canyons, like 100 miles from the nearest town, and I'm like, bro, do I stop?
Don't
Dude,
turn around.
I've seen some stuff in my days. If we want, I mean, we could totally go off into telling our own ghost stories, but you guys don't tell anything like too scary related because it's my favorite. I'm gonna be back in like around 2 minutes as well. I'll be right back.
Sure.
Roger that. Well, yeah. Well, if he's, did you want to say something about the great cons?
Yeah. I want to wait for Waste to get back because
Gotcha.
it's furthering the point that we made.
Fair
But
enough. Well,
I
do you have
do,
any ghost
so
stories? Any real life ones?
I do. I did want to tell you about that video though. I'll send it to you after we get off this call, or you can look it up and find it on my channel. But essentially, it's a speculative video about the Great Khan Empire that would be built after New Vegas if you were to like go through their quest and help them like either learn about their past or find the value in their own tribe. And you know, you get that end scene that's like the Great Khans went to the wastes of Wyoming and started a grand empire. And so I did a speculative video, like what that empire would look like, and I thought that video was pretty cool.
Oh,
Love
dude,
the Great Khans; they're great.
you're piquing my interest with that, man. I have to check that out, bro.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna be excited.
it's one of my older videos at this point. I mean, I've only had my channel like up for a little bit over a year, and I can only produce like one video a month right now, so I don't have a whole lot of content.
Well, that's fair. No, but the thing is, I'm sure that you're putting a lot of effort into what you're doing, though.
Oh,
And again,
dude, yeah.
I haven't seen anything, but I if you're saying one video a month, then I know you're putting a lot of effort into there, and that's awesome, bro.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
like each video is like 40 to 60 hours.
just
Damn.
of work put into it. Damn, man,
Yeah.
that's awesome, bro.
One of my shortest workloads that I ever had was the video I did with Wastelord on Camp Guardian, and that was like a 30-hour video. It was because I had his help to do it, you know?
Oh, that's crazy, though, man. Huh?
Yeah.
You got me intrigued about this now. I'm gonna be watching everything you're doing, bro. And
Dude,
I hope you like it.
those kinds of videos too is like those kinds of videos with the lore and stuff when you're putting a lot of effort into it, those definitely do well, at least on YouTube. So I know that you're going to be going places with that. But Waste, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, the first time I watched one of your videos, Cypher, I was like, damn, this dude is sick. It's like, I'm not trying to bash or anything, but Oxhorn, he used to be my favorite dude. And I was like, yeah, his lore videos are really good. I like them. They go in depth and all that. But then your videos, dude, I feel like they put like an extra element there that was just missing. Like it made it feel more immersed, more serious, you know? And I was like, bro, this guy is crazy. And then I looked and I was like, how in the hell does he only have, I think I followed you when you had like only 1,000 or 2,000. And I remember, I was like, how do you only have this amount? Because this is insane amounts of effort. Tons of content, like tons of, what am I trying to say here? Actual value that you're adding to it and information. And you can tell that you research all this stuff, and it's phenomenal, dude. So I definitely agree with Nav. You're going places, bro.
Well,
Yeah, bottom line for all the
someday.
listeners, go subscribe to Neo Cypher right now.
Oh my god.
I'll do more Zayton impressions for you, I promise.
Yes.
Every video will start, I'll be like,
Cypher, were you? I may have cut you off if you were going to say something. I apologize.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just shooting the stuff right now.
That's fair. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's was that?
I said I never got to say my faction, and I'll be quick about it.
Yeah,
Desert Rangers, I love, right? Desert Rangers they're like my favorite. In fact, the lore of my Wastelord guy is, I don't know if I said it in the video because that was a while back, but it was I'm originally I joined the Desert Rangers in my lore. I know it's getting real nerdy, and and so I was part of the Desert Rangers. That's why I have the drip that you see on the icons for us right now, and the drip, yeah. And that's I love the Desert Rangers. They're my favorite, or they're not my favorite. They're not my favorite faction. I don't really see them as a faction, kind of more since they disbanded and got dissolved or absolved.
Yeah.
But it's the Minutemen, because they fortified the Commonwealth. They can become the strongest faction in Fallout 4, and all you got to do is put some effort into them, and you can build them up. And I'm a settlement builder, son of a gun. I just
Yes,
go
you
crazy.
are, my guy.
Bro. I
I'm
go
gonna-
crazy when it comes to settlements. I'll spend years on them. Like,
I'm
dang.
gonna rebuttal this just momentarily because the Minutemen need a lot in order to become like a powerful faction. And as long as the Brotherhood is in the Commonwealth, they I don't think they stand a chance, even with the artillery.
So
Good thing I
let
bombed the Pridwin and sent those guys back to Adam, though.
yeah, because the
Yeah.
castle it can shoot. They got the artillery, but I do know what you're saying because they got power armor, right? Which is completely revolutionized
I
warfare.
did like a whole video on this. I have like a series on why certain factions will always win, and I think I've only got like 2 or 3 videos out for that series right now. But the Brotherhood is like the one for Fallout 4. If you look at, so let's say the Soul Survivor never came into the equation.
Minutemen
Never
are
comes
dead.
into the equation. The Minutemen die immediately, right? So they
Definitely,
can't
I
really
agree.
like help them out. And basically, like the Brotherhood comes in and they clean house, but it's not just because they have power armor. Like that is super useful, the power armor and the laser weaponry. But you also have to think like the Brotherhood that shows up in Fallout 4 is nowhere near the Brotherhood that's in Fallout 1, 2, New Vegas, or Fallout 3, or Fallout 76 for that matter. The Brotherhood that comes in Fallout 4 is like a well-trained, invading, and experienced military. And they come in with all the things that a military would need to succeed.
I'm gonna be
And so,
honest. I love the Brotherhood. They're probably my second to third favorite faction because I love the Desert Rangers and the Minutemen. Like I said,
well,
Fallout
I would
3,
hope
they're my
so, or
favorite.
else this Discord page would be a little awkward.
I know it would, yeah. But oh yeah, huh? Because of the Lost Hills. Yeah, I got my
Yeah.
own lore about the Brotherhood because I'm a nerd. But yeah, I love the Brotherhood. But in Fallout 4, I feel like they're just a bunch of dickheads, to be honest. But I see what you're saying though, because they would smoke. They would completely
Yeah.
without the Soul Survivors intervention. Definitely, there's no question the Brotherhood of Steel would take over because the Railroad. What are they doing? They're freeing synths, which is honorable, but it's pretty pathetic when you look at their actual operations.
Yeah,
And
well, and
the
the Railroad's not a military either. Like they've got good armor and they've got good weapons. They would be good against the Minutemen, and it's even good against the Institute. But that it doesn't do much against the Brotherhood. It's like
no,
the Brotherhoods not only are their weapons and armor like overall better, they're more effective, they're in better condition. And this is going off of lore wise because if we take in-game stats, it paints a different picture always. So the lore of this is they're also well-trained soldiers. Like they have recruit training, they've got field deployments, several deployments in the Capital Wasteland. They're still like they're fighting mutants, right?
This
And
season.
exactly. And then you have like your high-ranking knights and high-ranking paladins, which would have been there against the height of the fighting against the mutants in the Capital Wasteland, on top of the war with the Enclave. And so the people who survived, essentially, not only would they be better equipped to handle these military operations and teach their troops like proper firing maneuvers, how to work with a team and take cover and all that stuff. Then you also have the added elements that the Brotherhood comes with an air force. And in the real life world, when we got an air force is when the game of warfare completely changed. It's
100%.
no contest. Even the weakest vertibird that would be taken down by like a 9mm pipe pistol is still better than not having a vertibird at all.
and I'd like to say this before everyone goes bonkers. The Fallout 4 not pyramids, vertibirds, they're completely trash. We know this. They're garbage. They'll get
Yeah.
knocked over, they'll collide with anything. But we're talking strictly lore wise because we are we're the followers of the lore. And
You got to think too that a lot of these vertibirds were taken from the Enclave in Fallout 3. Like that's the official lore explanation, is like they haven't started manufacturing these things. These are all just left over from Enclave bases that they've looted. And if you think about it, you can't blow up a vertibird in Fallout 3. So continuity.
You can blow up a vertibird. I've
In Fallout 3?
Yeah. So you know that spawn that's in near Raven Rock, or it's not? It's on one of those giant things, the giant satellites. I'm not sure if I have it released, but I have it recorded, and one flew over me, and I shot the ever living piss out of it with vengeance, and it blew up in midair.
Oh my god, this would change the game. You need to release that.
Yeah. Okay. I might have. I don't think so though. But yeah, I blow
It's
them up all the
saying here
time.
that
Actually.
you can blow up a vertibird. Yeah. I hit one
Fallout
with a
3.
fat
Yeah.
boy once. Epic. And this is in the Fallout 3 like forums. Or I had one smoking. I don't know. But yeah, it looks like you might be able to. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love blowing them up.
I've never heard of one blowing up before, and all of my attempts have been in vain. So I would I would love to see it. But even then, so like if you take real life helicopters into account, they're not super great. Like you can take out, you can pierce the armor of your typical Blackbird with like a 5.56. So it's
Yeah,
not,
like smoke fire.
yeah, it's not super great. If you hit it in the right spots, like it's if one of its rotors goes out, like it's fucked basically. But
Mhm.
it's still they're still super effective, right? And they're equipped with machine guns that could just blast people before like the minute they start getting shot at, they could determine where the threat's coming from and blast people.
And
And
let's think
so
about this in a brotherhood way. If you shoot down a vertibird, it's going to fall down, right? But what about all your units in power armor? They're going to live.
yeah, they're
That
gonna
power armor will
survive,
That's true.
exactly.
Yeah, it is true.
which
I didn't think
which
about
is
that.
one of the most frustrating things about comparing lore to real life, because you're like, in real life I would just kill someone. Like the concussive forces alone would like liquefy you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
in the Fallout lore, it's like no, you can like literally fall from space in like the worst suit of T-45 power armor, land, and you're just fine.
And
Your
then
knees
another
are
thing.
like they're made out of whatever Batman's knees are.
Yeah. And the thing is too is a thing that kills me about lore, and I don't want to say it because I feel like people are gonna like start talking about it again. But I've seen in Fallout 1, you know how there's the terminal entry in Zax, and he's talking about in West Tech, he talks about T-51, how it can only stand like 2,000 joules of kinetic energy,
Yeah,
and it's like,
and that's not a
it
lot,
kills me.
really.
It's because we have armor plates that you can put in a vest, right? That's not that big at all, and they can stop
Mm.
50 cal. You'll get your rib cage shattered, but you could stop the round.
Yeah.
The
Well,
round from entering. Yeah.
the air
So there's
the air
no
like generated around a 50 caliber round is enough to like take someone's limbs off.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's insanely powerful.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That is wild. All right. Well, I'm trying. I want to try to stay on
We're
point
gonna
with the horror stuff.
we're
But
gonna
Oh, I
backtrack
got
to the great cons.
yes, that's what I was going to do. That's what I was going to say. So if you wanted to go for that, go for it.
Yeah. So I think the great cons are a really really good faction. You know, and you were saying earlier that you like you think the Native Americans had it right, and you see this as kind of like an evolution of that.
Mhm.
Well, I want to reveal a little bit about myself. I am Native American. I'm also Caucasian, but I'm a mix. I am a member of the Klamath tribes, and so I essentially was raised in that mentality, like on the
Mhm.
reservation. And I think that's might be why I like the Great Khans a lot. They remind me a lot of like how we would live essentially as a family. And so there's a lot of like really interesting um, correlations that I draw there, having grown up in that environment and just seeing like how the faction can interact with others in the game. And
Exactly.
what's really interesting is that the Great Khans, I think, were done the dirtiest out of like any faction in New Vegas. They
Yep.
should have been maybe not on the level of like Mr.
The
House or
Brotherhood,
Caesar's
Mr.
Legion in
House.
terms of like an end game, right? You should
Yeah.
have been able to at the very like you can join the faction, you could be the new Papa Khan, but you really can't do anything other than that.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, though, they did do pretty decent for coming back because they had Tandy in Fallout 1, and then the Vault Dweller came over and smoked the ever. Well, I can't remember the canon ending, but I know there's a way you can either look like the original Khan leader, and then they'll be scared of you if you have a high enough luck, which I've done, and then you can also just go around and completely smoke them.
Yeah, so the canon ending for the new cons in Fallout 2 is that oh god, which was is it the chosen
Wait,
one?
there's the
Yeah, the
cons,
chosen
and
one.
then there's the new cons,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, so the cons are Fallout 1, the new cons are Fallout 2, and then the great cons are Fallout New Vegas.
Yep.
Okay,
So the new con, so yeah, what your character does, the chosen one, is he goes in. It's kind of unclear what happens, but he against the part for the vault that the NCR wants, delivers it to Tandy, and then they sent in an assault squad and just wipe the cons out. And I'm pretty sure that the like Papa Con or someone related to him is who ends up like taking over for the cons after that. They either survived the massacre or they were like out at the time. I'm unclear about that part of the lore, but officially the con faction gets wiped out in Fallout 2.
But that's what I love is there's just so much potential with them, and like obviously
they
there is
always
because
come back.
they keep coming back.
Mm-hmm. They're resilient for sure. And I think
Exactly.
even in the case, like if they get absorbed by Caesar's Legion, if you like never do their quest, or if you are doing a Legion playthrough and you just want that to be the consensus,
Mhm.
they might even come back in a future game as well. I mean, we've seen members of tribes that get absorbed by the Legion and then become their own entity, like in the case of Ulysses. Or there might be people who just weren't. They like left the tribe right before it happened. So it'd be cool to see. That actually brings me to another point that I want to make, and a question that I want to pose to you. Where do you guys want the next Fallout to be? Me personally, I would love the Northwest, and I'm a little biased because I'm located in the Northwest. But having basically grown up here, I've seen all manner of different biomes and different landmarks and different potential for factions, and like even cryptids. I mean, like Bigfoot's our biggest cryptid export over here.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned the Northwest, I think a really cool place to do that would be Seattle.
For sure,
Like
Seattle.
I'm trying to think because that's like I feel like probably the most popular and commonly known city up there. But I've been to, well, I'm trying to think. I don't think I've been to Seattle, but I've been to Oregon a couple times, and it kind of reminds me of West Virginia almost, where it's like there's a lot of urban areas, and then there's these huge like mountains and forests and stuff, and there's all the fog and all that. And I feel like even just like setting wise, that would be really, really cool to have something like that.
Well,
And
absolutely.
there's also Fallout Cascadia too, which is like I think it's like a fan thing or something, or like a mod they made where it basically is in the Pacific, like the Pacific Northwest, and they have all these pictures and stuff. But that'd be so cool. And then you could also do a thing where like you could, because I mean you're that much closer to California, you could do like a DLC or something where you're going back to California, something like that. But
Right.
or like maybe the NCR moved north or something like that. But yeah, I'm sorry, I'm ranting too much.
No worries. That's what we're here for, right? I made a
Yeah.
I made a tabletop game based off the like D&D 5th edition style of creation. That was essentially like a Fallout Northwest, and it took place. Oh god, dude, there's like 7 states. It was like Oregon, Washington, Wyoming, and Montana were the big ones, but you could also like cross over into California, Nevada, and Utah. So it's like the northern tips of those 3 states and then the rest of the Northwest. And the way that I had set it up, because, we have the Cascade Mountains that just like, they bisect like basically Canada all the way down to like the middle of California. It's just completely cut in half. And the biomes are completely different as well. So like on the west side, you just have dense rainforest. There's nothing else really like here other than that. There's like dense rainforest, ocean. And then on the eastern side, you have high desert, and that's pretty much all of like Oregon and California. And once you get into Washington, you start getting a lot more like grasslands and stuff as it, gets colder and there's more like precipitation that can reach the eastern side past the Cascade Mountains. And so like one of the ways that I'd written that campaign is like I'd started people off in Eastern Oregon, and it was built a lot kind of like New Vegas was, where the tribes you'd run into, there were like tribes and then there were like raiders and stuff. And the further you get to California, you'll run into like remnants of the Master's army, and then you get out west and like the radiation caused the plants to completely like cover the entire western half of the map, so it's like nearly impossible to traverse. This was just like a really like interesting dynamic that was set up. And since then I'd been like, man, this would be really great to have like a game here. And then you like maybe get to Seattle and there could be like a remnant of the government that like started their own, say like NCR type faction, And the crazy thing is none of this stuff is explored in the lore as of right now. So it's entirely open. Like anything could happen.
It's a good point, man. One of the things that I always like find myself looking at and looking up is like what happened to the other states, what happened to the other countries in the Fallout universe. I know that there's like this one big video, I think it's by Rad King, where he goes over like all the countries and stuff, what happened to them. But what I'm trying to say is I love speculation in this game, and it's something we've been talking about for this entire episode, but it's so fun to speculate about stuff. And like I'm looking at pictures of the Cascade Mountains and of the American Northwest, and it would just be such a cool setting, such an awesome setting for the game. It would kind of bring back a whole new sorry, you go ahead. I'm done saying what I'm going to say.
Imagine places like Crater Lake, completely just filled with radiation. Like what kind of adventures you could have there,
You guys got to check out this thing, Fallout Cascadia. They have like they have pictures and stuff like Mercer Island. They have Kent College. Kent, not Kent College. But yeah, bottom line, you check this out because they basically have images of what that would look like of Fallout in the American Northwest. This is so awesome. But sorry, I'm getting off topic there.
No worries. Looking at it now.
Oh man, it's so cool. But yeah, so I mean, anything else you guys wanted to talk about regarding that? I feel like, or did you want to move on to a different topic?
I'm good with moving on.
Yeah, I'll say this and I'll move on. I was gonna say I'd want it to be in Arizona, but I'm totally biased. I think
we never asked you. I apologize.
Sorry. No, you're good. And then also LA would be so sick because I love Fallout 1 and 2, but 3D is just so much better. So I'd love to see like the
boneyard and all that.
Yeah, dude, that'd be sick. But yeah, so we'll move on. What is your guys's? I have a whole little list, and I know we talked about liminal spaces, but what's your favorite? What's your scariest location? Like the scariest place in any game.
Any game or Fallout specifically? Like any of the Fallout games?
Yeah, any Fallout game.
I was gonna say like any game, bro. Like that could be like what is it? Dead Space. Like literally any place in Dead Space.
Oh my god! But yeah, the vents in Dead Space. But no, Cypher, what would you say yours is?
Oh, I need a moment to think. Please take the reins.
I mean, the first thing that pops into my head is the first game clip that I ever recorded in Fallout 4, and it's this room in the Nuka World on Tour DLC. You're like looking around for some holotape to bring to some guy from like his wife or vice versa or something like that. And you come into this room, and this is a long-standing thing in the Fallout universe with mannequins and how mannequins are like sentient or something. But there's this room, and you open the door, and there's a dead body on a couch, and it's surrounded like by like 10 mannequins. And they're all standing there with knives and guns and stuff like that. And that was the single creepiest like specific location I can think of, because that freaked me out. Oh my gosh! But I don't know. Aside from that, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. Like Haven Church in 76 is a really creepy place. Actually, we're gonna make a video on that pretty soon. But man, I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything in like New Vegas or 3. I'm trying to think. I mean, obviously the Dunwich. You know what? I think Dunwich Borers really had me going in Fallout 4. That place really creeped me out, bro. With like the hallucinations that you'd go through, and then seeing that for the first time. That'd probably be my pick. But Waste, what you got one?
Dude, I'm racking my brain so hard. I know I have the question, but if I had to choose like right now, I'd have to say Lucky Hole Mine with the Interloper, just because of all those like the cultist things, the little I don't know what you'd call those, but
the
those little
effigy.
things. Yeah, effigies. Yeah, those things scare the hell out of me. So I'd have to say that place.
Oh man. Well, listen, Cypher, you think about that. I'm going to take my bathroom break now because it is well deserved. So I shall be back in 2 minutes. How does that sound?
Yeah,
Good,
buddy.
bro.
All right. All right. I'll return.
Man, this
All
was
right,
such a
so
good question. I'm thinking like of all the places I've ever been. I'm like, oh, what about this vault? You know, like really, you could just put like any single vault in this category, and everyone would be like, oh yeah, for sure.
yeah, definitely. It's the way the vaults are set up. There's like everyone is creepy, even the least creepiest, which I'd argue is Vault 81. Even that's got its own secrets and its like own little creepy stuff going on. And I remember that one scaring the hell out of me because I always tried avoiding the mole rats. I spent so long trying not to get bit by them, and I always got bit by them. And so I'd be so terrified, and I'd hear a mole rat jump, and I'd like jump myself, and I'd be like, oh god.
Right, dude. That
Yeah.
that vault was stressful. I remember, so I had like watched a video or something before I'd even entered that vault. The very first time I was like going through it, and someone was like, "Yeah, like if you get bit by the mole rat, you get like a permanent debuff." And I was like, "Oh no, permanent debuff!" So
Yeah, dude.
I like save scum my way through that place, but it took me like 2 hours the first time because I was like trying to sneak up on one, and I would like finally get it, and I'd like kill it, and then all of a sudden one would just pop up behind me, and I'm like, come on, man, what do I even have this stealth boy for?
Oh no, it scared me so bad. I did the exact same thing, saved like 100 times. I think in the end though, I just got so fed up with it, and I was like, frick this, and then I just got the disease, and I was like, whatever.
It's just like I don't care. I got worse things in Atlanta.
I'm done. Yeah.
Oh man.
All right. Wait. I just heard somebody say Atlanta. And honestly, this might, well, it's not really related to Atlanta, but maybe this kind of pique the interest a little bit. Do you, and I know that you're not super well versed in 76, but do you guys think, and this is I guess you can answer this as well, Cypher. Do you think that we're going to see more of this kind of stuff possibly in the Atlantic City update? More kind of Lovecraftian stuff or more kind of scary things at all? Because it's going to be a totally new map, unlike the pit where it's like a little location you go to. Waste, do you have anything on that?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be scarier. You can see from the images, it's Far Harbor-esque vibes, and Far
Yeah, it reminds
Harbor
me
on its
of
own
too.
is all based off of Lovecraftian stuff. And there's actually a
Yeah.
cave in Far Harbor that's got giant skulls and stuff. But
Mhm.
it's all based off of I don't know, it's some Lovecraft stuff, but it's like the Mist as well. Um, anyways, I think they will be adding a lot of scary elements. I don't know if there's going to be any HP Lovecraft stuff, but just the new ghouls. I forget. Oh, the overgrown is what they're called, I believe. Those
Yeah.
things alone are going to be way more scary.
Huh. Well, that's all I wanted to say about that, but I didn't mean to interrupt if you guys were talking about something else.
Oh, you're all
Just
good.
killing time.
Fair enough.
I
All right,
I certainly hope
sorry,
that whatever updates they do for 76 adds more of the Lovecraftian elements in it.
Oh,
You know,
I hope so.
it's like one of those things like no one plays Fallout for the Lovecraft specifically, but it's such a good flavor. You know, it's like
It really is.
without it, I can't imagine that Fallout would be as interesting as it is, you know? Because like even in games that don't have any Lovecraft-esque influence in them really, like New Vegas, for instance, I'd say the horror elements in New Vegas are probably the least out of any of the Fallout games. It's still
Yeah.
it's still like, you know, interesting to have. And like I would love if there was even a single location in New Vegas where you like enter a cave or something and there's like just a cult of people worshiping something, and maybe they're hostile, maybe they're not.
Yeah. The only real place I can think of that's scary and Fallout in Vegas is probably the Good Springs Cemetery. But I don't know. That's not even really scary, to be honest.
Ooh, spooky.
Ah. Yeah.
Like, look, this is where I died.
Oh no. Good old Victor. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm thinking it's about what how long have we been on here? So about an hour and 40 minutes.
Mhm.
I'm thinking this was a really good run, and I wanted to ask you guys one more thing before we all peace out, and it's why do you love Fallout?
Oh man, you're killing me with this. Cypher, you got anything yet?
Yeah. This
Go for it.
will probably be long and convoluted, so bear with me. I have to like start with like a little quick story before I get into this because I think it is important to the context of why I ended up falling in love with this franchise. When I was like a kid, I don't know, I was maybe like 12 when Fallout 3 was released. So the game came out and like I had an original Xbox and I'm pretty sure it came out for Xbox 360 originally. But my friend had a PlayStation, and so I was like at his house one day after school, and his parents got him Fallout 3, and he plugged it in, and I remember like watching the opening cinematic where it's like coming out of the destroyed van, and you see like DC, and then the dude in power armor, and then there's like I watched him play the whole original section like in the vault, and it had such a cool tone to me, and it made like such a strong impression that I like wanted nothing but to play this game. And I think it might have been because like some of the media I grew up with were like films like The Matrix, where there's this whole like oppression mentality, and I kind of like got that same vibe from the Fallout games when I was like watching Fallout 3 being played. And I didn't actually get to play Fallout 3 until after I played New Vegas. I got New Vegas on launch when I was in high school. And that just like it changed the game. The way that you could choose your path and just make your character be whoever you wanted to be and influence the world however you wanted, but the simple fact that the world existed without you. And so you got to explore and kind of like escape from your real life into this cool fantastical fantasy world with the 50s aesthetic. It was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And it wasn't the horror aspect that I originally liked with Fallout 3, but it was that kept me intrigued enough to play New Vegas. And then when I finally got to play Fallout 3, I was older at that point, and I had a little bit of that nostalgia left, and I was like, wow, this is great, but I'm insanely lost in these metro tunnels,
Oh, I know that too well, my man.
Yeah. So it was kind of like I didn't like Fallout 3 as much, so I kind of just stuck with New Vegas, and I played New Vegas exclusively until Fallout 4 came out. And then I played Fallout 4, and then that returned me back to Fallout 3, and then after that I played like Fallout 1 and 2. So I was like, I want to like get the whole collection, and like play all the games, mostly because I liked New Vegas so much. And then I talked about this a little bit in one of my Q&As, where I've also been like throughout the majority of my whole life, I've been obsessed with Mediterranean cultures. And so in New Vegas, having like a Roman-based faction, huge for my continued interest. And it still to this day does spark it. That's like, I think why I even made my channel. I noticed there's like a huge lack of honest Legion content. And so I was like, well, I at the very least can try to do my best, because I will always be a little bit biased, but remove as much bias from it as possible. I'm very practiced in that. Create some content and just talk about the lore for the people who want that and don't have it, because the Legion has such a antagonistic reputation that no one really wants to make that kind of content and be known as that kind of person. I don't really care. I love the faction.
No, and that's good. A good trying to think, maybe not like perspective to have on it is more so as opposed to like their actions, like the history of them, if that makes sense.
Oh, they're absolutely deplorable. Don't get me wrong. I will never be like, oh yeah, the Legion's the best thing for the world.
Don't quote me on that.
They're the good guys.
Oh man. Well, no, that's so cool though. And I mean, I can agree with you on that too. I mean, I said before, like I love history, but I love, like you said, like Mediterranean area. Like I love the Greeks and the Romans. That was actually my minor in college, was in classics. I love that stuff. And
but that's what my minor is right now too.
Really? That's so awesome,
Yeah.
man. That's so sweet. Are you in this side note? You're not. Are you taking Latin by any chance?
Not like in university. I take like every now and then I'll hop on like Duolingo and do a lesson or something. But I want to become at least versed enough in Latin. God, I'm having a hard time speaking. Just because, like, I want to someday be able to read Roman texts in their original context.
Oh, dude, it's that was my entire reasoning for it. So yeah, I took Latin in college, and I'll keep this very brief. Took Latin in college for 2 years, and I had like a very rudimentary understanding of it. But I went to Bath, in England, which is this old Roman city. They used to have bath stuff there, and it was so cool being able to look at the actual inscriptions on the walls and being able to, I mean, for all intents and purposes, very roughly translate it. But to circle back to Fallout, it's so interesting because one of the reasons that people, and maybe you agree with this or not, that like people focus on classics so much is because history repeats itself, and a lot of things that happened back then can be mirrored today, and then also mirrored within the Fallout games. So I mean, I don't really know where I'm going with that, but dude, that's 100% how I feel about it too. That's why I like the Caesar's Legion a lot. Sorry, go ahead.
That's the essence of the whole like war never changes prospect,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The Romans gathered slaves, and it's like all that.
Yeah, like the very first Fallout's opening scroll, I think, does the best job of like encapsulating what they originally wanted their message to be. And then, it became a staple, and so every game after that has to do like a war never changes type thing. And it kind of lost a little bit of its meaning, I think, but if you go back and watch the very first one from Fallout, you'll be like, okay, yeah. The whole point of this is that history repeats itself, So like even in this post-apocalyptic world, you still have the same actions that existed in the old world, blossoming essentially. Like the Brotherhood of Steel is a new faction in the respect that they're like a cult that worships technology, but they based a lot of their society off of like knights and such.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so you see that throughout all the factions. Like, one of the only factions that I think is original is the Enclave, because they are the actual remnants of the U.S. military. Like they are relatively unchanged from what they were before the war. They just have a larger security force now.
I never really thought about that.
Just as corrupt and a little more powerful.
Right, and the rest of the factions, like you have the epitome of this, I think, is the NCR and Caesar's Legion equally, because while the NCR, they had more like honest roots, like they came out of a political and philosophical base that was unique. They over time just redeveloped into the American government, basically more corrupt and more imperialistic than America has been in 100 years probably. And then you have their direct mirror, which is Caesar's Legion, which like literally says, he's like, I modeled my legion after ancient Rome. And you're like, okay, great.
I love Mr. House's perspective on those two factions, especially when you tell him about the NCR, like, yeah, they're the good guys, they're democracy. And he's like, if you want to see what democracy gets you, look out the window. And that's when I really started to analyze all the Fallout factions in a much more deeper meaning. But yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Mr. House is no worries. Mr. House is another example of like something that is completely unique in the respect that it hasn't been changed since before the war. But governments like the American government have existed several times over the course of history. Societies like Caesar's Legion have existed several times over the course of history. People like Mr. House have and always will exist, So it's kind of the whole concept of history repeating itself. They did such a good job in that in New Vegas. And all right, I'll stop ranting because I will go off forever on this.
That's why we got to do this more often.
I'm thinking about everything now. Jeez, but you know what? I think this would be maybe a good topic to further elaborate on. if we did one or did like a podcast around the 5th anniversary of 76. I know that 76 isn't, well, you know what I mean, but it's going to be a big kind of like birthday thing for Fallout. So maybe we could do a full-fledged podcast on that too. But I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking of
I'm down too.
ways.
I'm gonna have to play some more 76. That way I can actually talk about more.
And I was going to say the same thing. I gotta go back and get more well versed in my 3-4 New Vegas and all that lore, because I mean, talking to you guys, I'm too old for that. I'm too old. I've been losing out on all that information, man. It's been too long since I've watched that. But hey, now I have a new YouTube channel to go check out. That being at the Neo Cypher. So there you go. But Waste, I think that it would be appropriate if we ended with you saying how you feel about it, given this is your podcast. Would you agree?
Sure. What do you guys want to? We want to talk about it.
Or sorry, you go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No. You finish.
No, I just really quick. I want to shoehorn my reason of why I like Fallout, and then I want you to talk about yours as well. But very briefly, because I don't really know how else to put it. I love Fallout because of the mirroring of real life, and it's so cool to and like you said, Cypher, kind of like escaping and going into this other world. The reason I like it so much is because the world that I was going into was basically the same one that I was in, where, it's the United States, and you see all this stuff that, I've been to Washington, D.C., and here it is, kind of cool, like seeing it destroyed. But the reason I loved it so much is because of the alternative history, but more importantly than that, I think that Fallout is kind of making a mockery of real life and kind of showing like, okay, well, how can I put this into words? The biggest example I can think of is the U.S. government. In real life, the U.S. government isn't overtly, terrible and, doing all this scummy stuff. But in the video games, they are. And I like how it's almost kind of showing like, this is what's going on, but you're not really seeing it. In this game, we're going to kind of show exactly what's going on. I don't know if that makes sense a lot, but the biggest reason is the mirroring of real world history. And that's why I love it so much. And going to these places that I can go to in real life and kind of seeing what they'd look like in an alternate reality or something like that. But I don't know. I just love it so much. And then I guess the other primary thing is guns. I love guns. Wait, I know you can relate with this. I love guns so much, man. And it's so cool the amount of weaponry that they have in this game. That's all I got to say about that.
Definitely.
All right, Waze, tell us why you love Fallout so much.
Okay, so I'm gonna need you guys to rack your brains here. So I'm a pretty young dude, but there was I think it was the Discovery Channel or the History Channel, one of them. They had this little show that they would do. It'd be like Life After Humans or something like that, and they'd play that, and then it'd be like, this is what happens if humans disappeared, and it would show buildings and stuff. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and I was like 5 years old, maybe 6, and I thought it was the coolest thing I've ever seen, and I just wanted more of it. And then eventually I watched, I'm trying to think of the movie that I watched. It wasn't Mad Max. It was an apocalyptic something.
What, like I Am Legend or something?
I loved I Am Legend. I grew up with that, yeah. And it was
The Road?
No, it was
Escape from New York?
No, I can't remember. But anyways, I remember just always having this thing of apocalypse stuff, and it just always, like, I always loved it. And then I found Fallout Shelter, and then I started playing that. I'm like, I had so much imaginations of what's going on beyond my little vault, so much speculation because I never played any of the actual games. And then I got Fallout 4, and then the rest is history. But I don't know. It's always been something about the weird aesthetics, the metallic, the beast of power armor, that stuff. It always intrigued me, and I always thought it was all super cool, the mysterious and really fascinating aspects of Fallout. And then I learned about the horror stuff, and I'm a huge horror nut. I've even wanted to start my own new YouTube channel about like scary stuff because it's my favorite. I listen to so much hours of scary content. But yeah.
Who's your favorite scary content creator?
Okay, I got 3. We got Mr. Nightmare, right? He's pretty cool. I loved Corpse Husband for a while. He disappeared, which sucks. And he had great narrations. And then I also hold up. Backtracking a little bit. Bedtime stories. I love Mr. Ball, and sometimes he gets a little gruesome. I just like the paranormal videos. Mm-hmm. And then probably B Busta. Those are my top 3.
I love Dead Meat is my favorite.
I've not heard of him. I'm gonna look him up after this.
He goes over he just does like recaps of horror movies, and I love that. And he does a good job with it. But I love horror movies. Actually, I just somewhat off topic. I just got a. Do you guys know John Carpenter? He's the guy that directed Halloween.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's the guy who made that movie They Live, right?
Yep, exactly. So I actually I had an autograph of his that I got at New York Comic Con. I just had that appraised recently. So I'm looking forward to getting that certification. Dude, I love horror stuff too. That's why I was interested. That's probably why I like Fallout too, is because of that. So
All right,
Man,
so I'm
all
gonna
three
change
of
this
us
real
are so
quick.
alike.
I know we're all just mirrors. Really quick before we go, it'll be Neo, Nav, and then I'll go. Favorite scary movie of all time before we leave,
What do you
Oh
got?
man.
because it's Halloween.
I'm gonna go, okay, in the sake of the spooky season, I'll go with my favorite horror movie off the top of my head right now is probably The Thing.
No way!
Oh, that's a great
No
one.
way!
Among
Okay,
Us.
that's my favorite horror movie of all time. Is The Thing, 1982, John Carpenter,
Yep.
Kurt Russell, the best horror movie ever made. Oh my
Yeah.
god!
What's
Oh
crazy
my
too is
God.
Pretty
like
legendary.
even though that movie gets like super grotesque, it's not that's not like the allure of the movie. It's the suspense, you know. It's like The Thing isn't a horror movie as much as it is like a thriller. And you know, I personally really like the psychological aspect of those movies and the whole fact like you never know like who the monster is or like who it could be, and it's like it's even hard to follow. Like when you watch the movies, you're like, all right, we gotta like you have to look for the subtle clues that show like who interacted with the monster or like its cells or like who was not in a group at a time, and it makes for a whole experience, dude. The Thing, so good.
You want to know a fun fact?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Keith, you know Keith David, right? He is
Yes.
and for the listeners, Keith David is famous voice actor, known probably all across the world. But he is the character that McCready, Kurt Russell, sits next to in the final scene of The Thing. Keith David was actually the voice actor for Decker, who is the crime boss in the hub in what is it, Fallout 1, 2? I think it's
Yeah, Fallout 1.
Yeah, Fallout. Yeah, Fallout 1. Yep, Decker. So there you go.
That is amazing.
Yep.
I did not know that.
There you go. You guys ever seen Cowboy Bebop?
No.
I'm just starting it like now. Like I watched the first episode last night.
So you know Jet? Wait, are you watching the animated version or the live action version?
Animated.
So Jet, I think that's his name. He's like the like the ship pilot or whatever. He and this is going to be kind of belabored, but he is a voice actor for Paige in Fallout 76. And there's so many voice actors. I don't know. Oh, last one that I can say. I apologize. In Escape from New York, if you guys have seen that movie, I forget what the character's name is, but there's an actress named Adrienne Barbeau, and she is the voice actor for the Overseer in Fallout 76. And she is going to be the host of the upcoming Fallout birthday celebration thing that's going to be happening in November. But yeah, that's all I got to say about actors.
On the topic of Fallout voice actors, I would like to just give this time as a memorandum to, or a memoriam to Matthew Perry.
Yes, I would. Rest in peace to him. Oh man,
it's only appropriate.
Yeah.
Truth is, kid, the game was rigged from the start.
That it was. I'm sorry that I crucified your character in New Vegas. I'm gonna do it again.
Sorry, I beat you up in that ring to death.
I think actually I think today, if you guys know Triangle City, he does a lot of cut content videos. He uploaded a video going over Matthew Perry and his relationship with Fallout. Because the reason that he got that part is because he was a huge Fallout fan, and that was the reason he was in the game.
I wonder if he also liked horror.
He probably did. I wouldn't doubt it, being an actor himself. But man, that's so sad.
Ding,
Yeah,
ding,
rest in
baby.
peace. Oh
Legendary
my God.
character.
Oh, that's so funny. But Waste, did you get to answer? Did you get to answer the horror movie?
It's just The Conjuring, because it was like the first movie I really watched, and I have some stories that I'd like to share later. Because I've seen, I don't know, people are gonna think I'm crazy now, but I've had encounters with demons, right? Like nothing like too crazy, but I've seen stuff, right? And that movie it just terrified me to the core when I first watched it. And I mean, it doesn't scare me now. I can watch it and I'll be fine. But yeah, I just love it because of the story of it. I don't know. I love the combat.
Dude.
This is when we find out that under your helmet, you're actually a ghoul. He's a messenger of Ugg this whole time.
Who turned off the lights?
Spreading
Dr. Go under there.
Oh, Mary.
Waste. James Wan, I love him. He did Insidious, The Conjuring. He did the Aquaman movie recently, too. My favorite, and I don't mean to belabor this, but my favorite part in that movie, because it's terrifying. That movie is horrifying. But the best part is in the end when, what's his name? Ed Warren is down in the shafts, like into the walls, and he's like, Bathsheba, by the power of God, I send you back to hell. And it fills you with all this adrenaline. It's like finally this monster is being defeated. Oh man, that's such a good movie.
Dude, I love it, dude. So sick. It's so dope.
Awesome. That's
but
sweet.
yeah,
well,
so
no, you go ahead,
I'm thinking we'll wrap it up and then we'll do this, very soon. I'm hoping we'll see how the audience thinks. If you guys want us to do another podcast, we'll do it. If you guys don't want us to do another podcast, that's fine. We'll do it. And
we'll do it anyway. I'm gonna do it again.
It was too much fun, to be honest. So
we're live.
You guys, before I know I've said this 100 times before we go, real quick, briefly, just say what your YouTube channel is about, the name of it, and where they can find it. Neo and then Nav, and then I'll go.
Okay. I am a Fallout lore YouTuber at the name of The Neo Cypher. I do lore from all of the Fallout games. You can find me everywhere you can find YouTube videos on The Neo Cypher. You can also find me on Instagram, and I have a store at theneocypher.com. Check it out or don't, up to you.
You check that out, or I'm going to be knocking at your door, guys. How about that? Yeah, you don't want to visit from Navigator, I'll tell you that. But in saying that, I am Navigator Plays. I have a YouTube channel, obviously. I don't really use social media too much, although maybe in the future I should, and I'll be sure to keep you guys posted. But I make really all kinds of Fallout videos, mainly Fallout 76, I would say. I do kind of tend to go back to the other games like New Vegas and 3 and 4 and share little pieces or lore, whatever that. But mainly 76 stuff and just kind of news as to what's going on. But yeah, that's pretty much me.
And I'm Wastelord from Wastelord's Legends. I do, I really do anything related to Fallout, shooting guns, cooking, all that stuff. You can find me on Instagram at Wastelord's Legends, YouTube as Wastelord's Legends, and I think that's about it. I am a Bethesda ambassador, so if you're looking to save yourself some money on Bethesda Gear Store, because I always find myself there, be sure to look at my Instagram bio or just hit me up and I'll give you the link. Because I have to save my money all the time because I'm always buying Fallout stuff. But yeah, it is awesome to have you guys here. I really appreciate it. Super fun. There's not many people I can go and talk to hours, about Fallout stuff, and it's really great to have you guys here. So I'm looking forward to doing more of this in the future, and I think that's going to wrap it up. So if there's anything you'd like to say it now.
Well, Neo, you got anything?
I just want to say thank you for tuning in and listening to these great guys. Make sure you subscribe to both of them. And until we meet next, Wale Amicus.
There you go. The last thing I'm going to say is, of course, be sure to go check out Cypher and Wastelord, or else, once again, I will be rapping on your door. But Wastelord, there is a typical thing that you like to say at the end of your videos, and I think that it would only be fitting if you were to say that.
Yes. Thank you all so much for watching. And may the wasteland treat you with peace and prosperity.
You're goddamn right.